When you build something outside, you want it to last. That's just common sense. The big hardware stores will sell you all kinds of wood. They'll tell you it's outdoor rated or pressure treated. A lot of people think these are the same thing. They're not. Outdoor rated can sometimes just mean it's a species of wood, like cedar or redwood, that naturally resists rot and insects better than pine. Pressure-treated wood, on the other hand, is usually a softer wood like pine that has been forced to absorb chemical preservatives under high pressure. This process is designed to protect it from moisture, fungus, and bugs. The promise is that it will stand up to whatever Mother Nature throws at it. But I've seen too many projects fail because the wrong material was used. Talk is cheap. The real test is out there, in your backyard. So, we decided to put these materials to the test. No labs, no fancy equipment, just a real-world comparison. We built 2 identical small deck platforms, simple, solid structures. One was made entirely from standard pressure-treated lumber, the kind you find in any big box store. The other was built using a popular outdoor-rated cedar, which is often recommended for its natural beauty and durability. We placed them side by side in an open field, completely exposed. No roof, no shade. They would get the full force of the sun, the wind, and whatever rain or snow came down. We wanted to see, week by week, how they would really perform when left to face the elements. This is the only way to know for sure what you're paying for. The first week was uneventful, which is exactly what you'd expect. It was late spring, with a mix of sunny days and cool nights. We had one light rain shower. Both the pressure-treated platform and the cedar platform looked perfect. They were solid, the wood was smooth, and there were no visible changes at all. They looked just as good as the day we built them. This is the honeymoon period. Everything looks great when it's new. It's easy to be fooled at this stage. You install your new fence or deck and you think the job is done, but the real work for the wood is just beginning. It's the constant exposure, day in and day out, that separates the good from the bad. By the end of the second week, the story started to change, but only if you looked closely. We had a couple of very warm, sunny days, followed by a cool, damp evening. On the cedar platform, I noticed some very fine hairline cracks starting to appear on the surface of the boards, a process called checking. This happens when the surface of the wood dries out faster than the inside. The pressure-treated wood, however, still looked unchanged. It didn't have any new cracks. Its greenish hue was maybe a tiny bit lighter, but you had to really stare to notice. This is the first clue. The untreated natural wood was the first one to show stress from the simple cycle of sun and moisture. It was a small sign, but an important one. The third week brought the first real challenge, 3 straight days of heavy, soaking rain, the kind of downpour that turns your yard into a swamp. This is where we started to see a major difference in how the 2 types of wood reacted. The pressure-treated wood seemed to handle the water quite well. The water beat it up on the surface for a while before soaking in, and after the rain stopped, it appeared to dry relatively quickly. The cedar, on the other hand, acted like a sponge. It soaked up the water immediately, and the wood turned a dark, rich brown. It stayed damp for more than a day after the rain had passed, which is a big red flag. Trapped moisture is the #1 enemy of any wood structure. It's an invitation for rot and mold to move in. Following the rain, we got a blast of intense sun and heat for several days straight. This is a brutal combination for wood, going from soaking wet to baking hot. The cedar platform really started to suffer. The small checks we saw earlier began to widen. Worse, some of the boards started to warp slightly, lifting at the edges. This is called cupping. When you ran your hand over the surface, you could feel the raised grain and the roughness. The pressure-treated platform, however, remained flat and stable. It showed no signs of cupping or warping at all. The surface still felt relatively smooth. The chemical treatment was clearly doing its job, preventing the wood from absorbing and releasing water so dramatically. At the 1-month mark, the differences were no longer subtle. They were obvious to anyone who looked. The cedar platform looked weathered and stressed. The color had faded unevenly, and the surface was rough to the touch. Some of the hairline cracks were now deep enough to stick a fingernail in. When I stood on it and shifted my weight, I could hear a slight creaking sound that wasn't there before. The structure was still solid, but these were the first signs of weakening. The constant swelling and shrinking had started to loosen the fibers of the wood. It was aging, and it was aging fast. This is the reality that marketing slogans about natural resistance don't always tell you. In contrast, the pressure-treated platform looked almost the same as it did on day one. The initial greenish tint had faded to a more natural tan color, which is normal as the chemicals oxidize in the sun. But the boards were still straight and flat. The surface was smooth, with no significant checking or cracking. When I walked on it, it was silent and felt completely rigid. There was no question that it was holding its structural integrity far better than the cedar. It was handling the stress of the changing weather without complaint. This is what you pay for with pressure-treated wood: stability. It's not just about rot, it's about standing up to the physical stresses of being outdoors. As we moved into the second and third months, the weather continued its assault. We had a severe thunderstorm with high winds and hail, followed by another heat wave that pushed temperatures into the high 90s. Each major weather event widened the gap between the two structures. After the hailstorm, both platforms had small dents, but the cedar's surface seemed to splinter more around the impact points. During the heat wave, the cupping on the cedar boards became much more pronounced. You could now easily see the curved profile of the boards from a distance. The gaps between the boards had also widened as the wood continued to shrink, putting more stress on the fasteners. This is a critical point of failure. When wood moves that much, it can loosen screws and nails over time. The pressure-treated platform, meanwhile, took the storms and heat in stride. The hail left dents, yes, but the wood fibers didn't splinter. The surface remained remarkably flat, with no signs of cupping or warping. The color had settled into a consistent light brown, and it looked uniform across the entire structure. The most important thing was the stability. There was still no creaking, no movement, no sign that the structure was under any stress. The chemical preservatives weren't just preventing rot. They were helping the wood maintain its dimensional stability by limiting how much water it could absorb. This is the key to longevity. A structure that doesn't move is a structure that lasts. By the 6-month mark, as we headed into fall, the results were undeniable. The cedar platform looked old. The wood was gray and splintered in many places. Several boards had developed long, deep cracks, and the cupping was severe enough to create puddles after it rained. It felt rough and unsafe underfoot. We even found the beginnings of mildew growing in some of the deeper cracks where water was slow to evaporate. While the frame was still holding, the deck boards themselves were failing. They were losing their strength and their looks. This platform would soon need major repairs or a complete replacement of the surface boards to be considered safe and usable again. It had lost the battle against the elements. The pressure-treated platform, on the other hand, looked like it could go for years more. It was solid, stable, and safe. The surface was still relatively smooth, and the boards were flat. It had weathered to a silvery tan color, but there was no splintering, no deep cracks, and absolutely no warping. I pushed and pulled on the railings, and they were as rock solid as the day we built them. It proved, without a doubt, that for raw, exposed durability, the pressure treatment made all the difference. It wasn't about which wood was prettier on day one. It was about which wood could survive the reality of being outside, 24/7. The pressure-treated wood won, hands down. So, what does this all mean for you when you're standing in the lumber aisle? It means you have to choose the right material for the right job. Based on our test, if you are building something that will have direct contact with the ground, like fence posts or the support structure for a low deck, you must use pressure-treated wood rated for ground contact. There is no substitute. For surfaces like deck boards, railings, or stair treads that are fully exposed to sun and rain, pressure-treated wood is the clear winner for durability and low maintenance. It will stay flat, stable, and strong for much longer than an untreated natural wood like cedar. It's the smart choice for the bones of any outdoor project. This doesn't mean woods like cedar have no place. Cedar is beautiful, and it does have natural resistance to rot and insects. Where does it work best? In projects that have some protection from the elements. For example, it's a great choice for a table on a covered porch, the ceiling of a veranda, or a fence panel that has a cap rail to protect the end grain from rain. If you're willing to commit to regular maintenance, meaning annual cleaning and sealing with a high-quality UV-protecting finish, you can keep cedar looking good for a long time. But you have to understand that outdoor rated does not mean maintenance-free. You have to do the work to protect your investment. For beginners, my advice is simple. Don't take risks with the structural parts of your project. Always use pressure-treated lumber for the posts, beams, and joists, the parts that hold everything up. This gives you a solid foundation that will resist rot and stay stable for years to come. If you love the look of cedar or another premium wood, you can use it for the parts you see and touch, like the deck boards or railings. But if you do, you must be prepared to seal it right after you build it, and then clean and reseal it every year or two. If you don't want that kind of annual chore, then stick with pressure-treated lumber for the entire project. It will give you peace of mind. In the end, you have to ignore the marketing hype and pay attention to reality. Real weather, the soaking rain, the baking sun, the cycles of hot and cold, is the ultimate test for any building material. A label that says outdoor rated is a suggestion, not a guarantee. The performance of wood outdoors depends entirely on the species, whether it's been treated, and how much exposure it gets. Your best tool is knowledge. Understand the strengths and weaknesses of each material, and choose based on your project's location and how much maintenance you're willing to do. If you do that, you'll build it once, and you'll build it right.